There we go.
Okay. Okay, we're live on Instagram. Hi. Okay, say hi.
Hello.
Hello, everyone.
Happy Wednesday. I know. I woke up this morning. It was beautiful. We've had a couple of days of overcast here in the Pacific Northwest. And so I was quite surprised to see that it was sunny out. And we got up and we walked barefoot outside in the morning. And so my son was like, can we squirt each other with water? And I'm like, sure, let's go. And so we were chasing each other around the yard and squirting water.
What a nice way to ground.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Time.
Definitely. Well, it's great the first thing in the morning because not only that, you're grounding and then you have the dew of the morning. So that water and that conductivity just it kind of amplifies the effects of grounding. But the sunlight first thing in the morning is fantastic, especially to like regulate your circadian rhythm. We had a GAPS guide introduce me to Dr. Satchin Panda. He wrote a book called The Circadian Code. And so I read it and it was just fantastic. So I highly recommend it if you haven't read it. It just talks about how to regulate your circadian code and how important it is. So definitely. So we did that. We got wet. My son decided to make up a song. We sing a lot and, make new words to songs. And so he was singing, oh, we're halfway there. Oh, the weekend's almost here. And I'm like, where'd you hear that? He goes, I just made it up. Oh, okay. So true. It's Wednesday. So thank you for joining us, everyone, on Instagram and Facebook and YouTube. So we are so glad you are here. We are just here to share the word of GAPS and what we do here at GAPS Training. So we appreciate you taking the time out of your day to learn a little bit more about us. So thank you. So we wanted to start off this open house by introducing you to Amy Mahali. She is one of our incredible instructors on the GAPS team. She instructs in both the CGC and CGP training. So no matter what training you go to, in our certified training, you will see her and learn from her. She is a family nurse practitioner. She has a thriving practice in Loveland, Colorado, where she's also a CGP. And so she employs some of the GAPS principles in her practice. So we are delighted to have her join us today. Hi, Amy.
Hello.
Hi, Amy. Nice to see you.
Good to see you both and everybody.
So I know we have talked kind of in length on the Q&A webinars on how GAPS has changed your practice. And speaking specifically to prospective CGP students, because they already are a healthcare practitioner in practice with a client's consultation process in place. So how did GAPS, once you went through the training, and how did GAPS kind of enhance or change the way that you saw patients?
Yeah, I love talking about this. So what's really fun is that I found GAPS for myself this last semester of my school in nurse practitioner school, my grad school. And so I was able to start my nurse practitioner with the ideas of GAPS, which was really helpful. So the way that the story went is I have been a GAPS person since I was colicky as a baby, lots of different health issues, tried different things, figured out some ways that diet was affecting my health, but nothing was really healing. And so then I went on to, I had a friend give me the GAPS book, and we had been having discussions about certain foods and whether they were okay or not. And I was very paleo at that moment. Which had helped some, but it wasn't healing. And then it really was great to see, okay, when I read the GAPS book and saw the principles that were in that book and went, oh, this is me, number one. And it started making sense of why I wasn't seeing healing results in myself. So last semester I read the book, graduated, studied for boards, and then started GAPS for myself. in spring of 2013 is when I did it. And I started seeing results that were different than I had experienced being 8 or 9 years on paleo before I gave it a real try. And there were some helpful things to cleaning up my diet, of course. But I saw that the healing of GAPS was different. And within a couple weeks to a month, I was saying I should go get trained. So I went to in-person training in New York, which was very fun. The training online is better. It's way more comprehensive. I've actually gone through the training as a repeat training before I started instructing. And man, it's so rich and full. But I did a 4-day weekend or something in New York where we did webinars and training, and that was so great. And I had the tools then to say, here's what I'm going to do for my practice. So I was working and just getting some experience as a nurse practitioner in wound care and things like that. But I also started my own little practice, which I called Holy Guts at the beginning, like WHOLLY, Holy Guts. And then I eventually am in Be Well Clinic. So Be Well Clinic is the practice that I have and have had for 10 years. And that is where I integrated. Now, it started small, of course. It started where I had GAPS patients and primary care children, basically, that I kind of saw both. And then eventually I got to the place where I understood how to take the principles of GAPS and really mix them in to what I call practicing GAPS. Mm-hmm. Basically, everyone in my clinic is practicing GAPS, whether they know it or not. We talk about eating animal fat and starting fermented foods and doing beet kvass and all the things that are so important. And it really gave me the opportunity to understand or to see. I love that I could see it play out and to understand how to teach people how to help them where they're at a mom with 4 kids that just heard about fat being good for them, as opposed to people who have been in it deep and have been studying for years, trying to figure out their health issues, kind of like I was at. Both are good, and I love helping both people. But I love that I love both. I love helping both people, but I love helping families when their kids are not so deep down in a hole that we have to make this a full-time job for the moms, but they can put the principles in, and eventually often they go to GAPS diet for a while for their family for a year or 2. But that's how I implement it in my practice. It's a mix, which is really fun to me.
Yes, I love that. You talk about that in the training about practicing GAPS. And I think that's such a wonderful concept because not everybody is ready to dive in, even mentally or even physically. There's some pretty like severe conditions where you start the intro diet and you have severe die-off and you just feel awful. So by practicing GAPS, we slowly kind of incorporate these things like meat stock, even just cooking at home. So many people don't do that anymore. So just kind of introducing these concepts, getting them confidence and familiar in the skill set. And then when they're ready to go full board on GAPS, they are successful and they know exactly what to do. And that as well, practicing GAPS, it's because even if you're not doing GAPS 100%, you're still making great choices. Yeah. You're still choosing a cup of meat stock or soup over breakfast cereal in the morning. And that every single choice adds up and, helps your body to heal and do what it needs to do to function. So I love that concept that you bring to the training.
Yeah, one of my favorite things and what I love about how Dr. Natasha's brain work is that she thinks in principles, and so do I. And so this idea of I can bring the principle to apply, meat stock is going to heal the gut. Now, we do often, for full deep healing, need exclusivity. Part of GAPS is exclusivity, is a phrase I say a lot. But you can get healing by doing meat stock, and you can help the body ease into it slower. People don't know how to cook or even how to source food, and so they can take a year or more to find the food and to practice making pate and to get good at their ferments, and their die-off is mitigated because they've been eating ferments now for 6 months. So when they go on intro, they're already eating ferments. So there's so many things. And I love in the trainings, I love bringing this aspect to life in terms of the Q&As and things where we're talking in the trainings for CGPs and CGCs of it is okay. If you want to be passionate about doing GAPS protocol with people who are ready, we need those practitioners. and coaches. If you are passionate about bringing people along until they're ready and after they're ready, we need those coaches too, and practitioners also. And to be flexible with, I hold always, GAPS is GAPS. If you aren't doing GAPS protocol the way it's prescribed, it won't give the full benefits that it's going to give. But every part of GAPS has benefits, and so we can bring them in little pieces. I know where we're going, and I can hold that destination for my client or my patient, and then I can help them get there in a reasonable pace for their life. And then to teach coaches and practitioners to do this, I think is one of the really powerful things that we can do as GAPS coaches and practitioners is help people start as where they're at and get to where they want to go without feeling like they have to jump in or they're failing. So.
Absolutely. And I also love too that I know for me, as I went through the GAPS training, I developed such an intimate relationship with my body, like just the signs and symptoms that I was experiencing, the reactions. I learned to see those as not burdensome, but the body communicating and just developing this relationship with myself, and knowing what my body needed at that time. And so I really appreciate that. That's what GAPS brings to my health. And then even for you with your patients, seeing those, teaching them how to interpret those signs and symptoms that their body is sending them, and not seeing it as a burden, but seeing it as communication and a relationship, synergistically about, okay, do we need a little detox? Do we need to back up on, the protein rich foods and start incorporating more fat foods to, address constipation. So teaching your clients and patients to learn to read their body is so important. How have you found that affected the way that you kind of address that with your patients?
Yeah. So to answer that, why I smiled is the things thought of when I was in nurse practitioner school was I never want to do chronic disease and I never want to do mental health.
I was just going to ask you about that.
That's exactly, I thought, like, never want to do those. And these ladies are laughing. Those are my passions. That's exactly what I do all the time. And I love it. And the reason why I didn't want to do it in school is because there's no answers. There's not an answer for chronic disease, basically of any kind, or mental health, really, in a lot of ways. There are, of course, glimmers of hope, but just the general way we as a medical world in the Western world approach both of those things, it's management, right? It's management to hopefully not get worse, to hopefully maybe get a little better, to hopefully be livable with. And that's why I didn't want to do it. That's awful. Who wants to do that? But when I saw that you can heal, that the body has capacity to heal, that we have an ability, and I talk a lot about emotions and that layer in our body as we're healing. We often go through emotional layers as well as physical layers, and how to do that in a non-counseling way. Sometimes our patients also need to be seeing a counselor or therapist, but we can also help in the same principle of listening to your body. The phrase that I say a lot to my patients is, if you were to twist your ankle and it hurt when you walked on it, you would not feel shame at having pain. But if you are feeling sad, we are taught often to have shame in those emotions, or any other number of emotions. That's not right. Anger, shame, or anger, sadness, fear are all coming from somewhere, physical and or emotional often. And they should be treated just the same way as your hurt ankle, as a clue to help us know what to do, as a clue to find out where the body needs support. And symptoms are signals. It's such a transition in my mind. Symptoms are signals. Symptoms are signals. When the body signals us something is going on, that is so good, because it tells me and it tells you, where do we go? What's working? What's needing help? Is it the liver that's signaling? Is it the lungs that's signaling? The thyroid, the skin, the detox pathways, whatever it is, and then we can support. So it's been huge for doing that. It's been huge for teaching, giving people actually empowered healthcare. Mm-hmm. Right? Empowered healthcare is such a buzzword. It's kind of come back around to quieter now. But I had people tell me, don't use empowered healthcare in your language. It's too much a buzzword. And I said, no, I am using it correctly. Many people are using it wrong, but I truly am empowering someone to help with their bodies, to help with figuring out what is their body doing, what does their body need, and giving them the tools to be able to do that themselves, to be able to do that without seeing every step of the way. We do want to have practitioners. We do want and need the help, but we don't need it every step of the way for everyday activity. And so to teach that empowerment to people is something I'm also.
This is so important. This is so important for the people that are listening, that are thinking about joining one of our training courses and are wondering, how do I bring what's in the class to my own practice? And I love that you're talking about this individuality, and even in one of your Q&As for our students, I think it was the coach course, but I mean, it's CGP and CGC, the same. You were saying that sometimes the way that you bring gaps into your practice, it's not an exact word where, there is something where you can say, okay, this is exactly gaps, but basically it's infused into everything that you do. So no matter where the patient is or the client is, you can bring a portion of gaps so it works with their bodies and their healing and their emotional state, so they don't feel overburdened. Mm-hmm. And I just thought that was spectacular for people to know that are coming into the training.
Yeah, and one of the things I love about the training that I have is I am a GAPS practitioner, but it's not how I often introduce myself. Not because it's great, but not everyone's ready for GAPS yet. People say, should I do GAPS? I'm like, everyone will benefit from GAPS. Some people really need GAPS. Some people need GAPS eventually. Some people can get enough healing with principles. That's far and few in between anymore. But I don't have to be having a GAPS practice. So as a practitioner, especially if you are wanting to bring GAPS into your practice, the principles will serve you no matter what you're doing, even if you only have a few patients that are doing actually GAPS, right? If most of what I talk about in my appointments are eating meat stock, eating feeding foods, how many feeding foods kids need to grow and adults need to repair, right? Our bodies. Animal fat, having the discussion, saturated fat's not bad for you. Why is that true? Looking at how we view inflammation, what fermented foods do for our digestion and how that helps everything. All the things I've learned, most of them from GAPS, I bring into my appointments every single day. And some of those do the GAPS protocol in full. But I use the tools of what I've learned in the GAPS for everything, for everyone.
Yeah, I love that. And I love that you said that it's empowering, because, and that's when you were talking, that's the word that kept shining in my head, is empowering. It's empowering and hope that I feel like the GAPS protocol brings to people when, they've gone through different practitioners or different modalities of, healthcare, and they're just kind of left with more questions than answers. And I feel like that's what happens when we talk about the GAPS protocol, or we implement the GAPS protocol, is that it's empowering and it's hope. And going back to kind of like the food aspect of it, I know one of the many things that I've incorporated since being on with you and the Q&As with the students is that you will tell your patients to put kind of like little tiny bowls on the middle of the table with all different kinds of salt, and just kind of lick your finger and taste the salt and see which one your body responds to. And I think that is amazing. And it creates so much intuitiveness when you're eating. And just like I said, that relationship with your body. Now you can, as a family nurse practitioner, I'm sure you could probably prescribe or even recommend supplements. But I find when we were talking on the Q&As, you kind of gravitate towards, okay, what can we do for food and what can we do to cleanse the body and detox? Yeah. You want to talk a little bit about that as far as like protocol management with your patients?
Yeah. So I use, when I do use supplements, they are food-based supplements, and they're not my first preference. And the reason why, there are a few instances where people are so deficient in something that we need to help them catch up, and they just aren't going to eat 2 cups of sauerkraut a day, which would give them enough vitamin C. So we do some other more concentrated vitamin C, whole vitamin C, and that is the most common thing that I see. some people need more C, that we need to catch up faster. But for the most part, what I have found, and this is from my own personal experience of doing some of these, is when I am on GAPS intro, even later stages of intro, versus eating well and supplementing with some food-based supplements, I feel better on intro. So I have this very strong personal experience of I am a person who needs supplement. I did not absorb food well for 25 years of my life. My body is catching up still in some ways. It's very strong, much stronger than it was, but it's still catching up in some ways. And I need the supplementation sometimes. And GAPS supplements me better than supplements do, even what I consider the highest quality types. On the other side, I have a lot of families I work with kids, and I have 3 camps of those families. There are families who will do supplements. They come in right away and go, we're busy, both parents work, whatever, we can't eat, so we'll do what we can, but also we need the supplements. So we do some food-based supplements. There's people who come in and say, I want to try the food, but also let's have some extra supplements. And then there's people who go in all on the food. I tell them to eat liver every day, and they start eating frozen liver shots of every person in their family every day. They start doing ferments with every meal. They start eating half a cup of animal fat per person over the age of 2 every day, which is my recommendation, minimum. And they do that, and those kids are better. They're more well. They grow bigger. They catch up on their growth curve faster. If they were behind, they start sleeping better faster than the kids who are doing very good quality, my recommendation supplements to them. Food is more powerful. And the thing that I love is I would never have known that if I approach natural health, if I hadn't known what GAPS brings to the natural health world about food. There are very few people who hold food as strongly as GAPS does. And it is the thing that has all the cofactors, all the connections. The food is so complex, we don't even know it. I don't think we will ever understand how food fully interacts with our body, not just how vitamin C interacts with our body. And to bring the food in, I have seen demonstrated time and time again that it's more potent. I also hold very strongly people's reality of life. And we can help the body in whatever ways is possible, but it's okay. And it's okay, right? But I also am always holding when people can switch from high quality liver-based B vitamin to actually eating liver, not even desiccated liver, but actually liver, they do better. And I'm always holding that and helping bring that to every appointment that they have year after year. And then they keep, as patients, I'll see them progress. And I love my families with 5 or 6 kids. And so I'll see them 5 or 6 times a year for 3 or 4 years in a row. And every time I can talk to the mom and we're getting one step closer, and it's just fun. And I would never have, there's so much I learned from GAPS that I would never have known. So it's definitely, that's been cool.
Awesome. So what would you say is your favorite thing on that note, what would you say your favorite thing is being a certified GAPS practitioner?
So 2 things come to mind. One, it's really fun when something that is considered unsolvable or incurable gets fixed. We're going to say that. We don't use the word cure, because GAPS is not curing the body. The body is healing because we gave it the right things, right? And so, but there are problems that seem unsolvable or have been unsolvable or are technically in the medical world's eyes unsolvable, and they are solved. I have one kid I worked with for years on no plant GAPS, years and years and years. And he should have ended up on a feeding tube, and he never even got a feeding tube because we started early enough. It took him 5 years to tolerate plants, and now he just had some gas station food. That did not go super well, but he also didn't go into like all of his symptoms, and that was amazing.
That is amazing.
Amazing. At 6 years old, he could eat a gas. He should have had a feed tube for eosinophilic esophagitis, and he ended up being able to do, it was junk food and it was a problem, but it was okay. And he didn't crash into all of his old symptoms at all. That's huge. That was huge victory. So things like that are really fun. The other thing that I don't know that fun is, I don't know if you said fun, but the thing that is the most impactful to me is being with people, kind of like you were saying, when they have hope, but also through the times of not having hope. Because healing is not a GAPS fixes and now we just go upward because you found the right diet and you read the book. GAPS heals like everything else. There's ups and downs. And to hold that space and to the honor of being with people when they're applying the challenges, this challenge of doing something hard to their life and persisting in it and enduring in it is something that's also really fulfilling. So I also am very honored to do that. I'm very pleased to do that. Of course, it's hard sometimes for all of us, and to hold, like, to learn our own mental health, right? It's challenged me to learn a lot, and that, but just to the honor of being with people in that has been really impactful as well.
That's amazing. That's so beautiful, that kind of, that, you know, that patient practitioner relationship that you kind of cultivate when they're going through that journey. Because healing is not linear, and especially like somebody can read the book, the 2 books, the GAPS protocol books, and learn about the protocol, the diets, the supplements, the lifestyle. But there's little nuances, and that's specifically what we go through in the training on how to kind of navigate those challenges, those roadblocks. And so you get to kind of be there and say, no, let's work this together. We're going to do this now. And this is what your body's telling you. And then this is the direction we're going to go. And we're still moving forward. We just might be taking a little detour, and I'm with you every step of the way. And I think that is such a beautiful thing that, you can offer as a CGP or even a CGC.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And I think Amy is such a great example of someone that has the credentials to go into the CGP training, and they may have their own practice, and they're wondering, how are they going to possibly implement GAPS into all the things that they're already doing. And I think it's so impactful to say that GAPS is food first. Mm-hmm. Because it doesn't have to be this massive supplement protocol or figuring out how to change your client's entire life in one sitting. I like that you're saying within your own practice that it might be you're adding meat stock, that you're adding beet kvass, that you're changing small things that are very doable, and you're getting the best results from real food versus just bumping somebody up on a supplement. Mm-hmm. Now, both are, of course, important in some circumstances, but I love that you're talking about food first, because it lends to the ease of bringing GAPS into an already thriving practice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep.
Awesome. And you work with coaches too, like as a CGP, I know that you have coaches in your practice that you kind of have this relationship with. Yeah,
I have another GAPS practitioner I work with. Holly Bigham works with our practice, and then we have one coach, and we're looking at ways to expand that support, because coaches have such beautiful support for people to bring them in. So we do have a coach that we work with for people who are like new. We call it level 1 and level 2 of our nutritional support. They come in and they're meeting with a coach regularly, as well as a GAPS practitioner regularly. And we found this really sweet, fluid place of what support the coach brings and what support the practitioner brings. And it allows us also to give support weekly, which is usually necessary when people are at the beginning, without filling the schedule or even being such a cost barrier, because it's not the time of a coach is less than a time of a practitioner just because of training, right? And so we're able to make it more affordable for getting support as well. So it's been cool. We've been doing about a year with a coach pretty consistently, and it's been really cool, and we're ready to kind of expand a little bit more soon as we're growing. So that's been great.
It's so good to hear. Yeah, because I know there may be some apprehension about, becoming a CGP, and like, I don't have time to teach. I might not have time to teach, how to make meat stock or how to, do the detox protocols, but you have an opportunity to work with a GAPS coach. That was my cat. You have the opportunity to work with a GAPS coach in your practice. So they're trained in the protocol, all the diets, the cooking techniques, even more so, and then the detox protocols, how to read the body. And then, so you would create a customized protocol for your patient and then kind of hand that off to the CGC and say, can you please, help them with, answer any questions they have about the cooking techniques, maybe demonstrate them, they can hold classes within your, clinical practice so that your patients or clients is still getting that support and that level of support and knowledge, but you are freed up to see even more people to make even a bigger change.
Yes.
So I think that's a really great relationship.
It is so great. And it's really great because you can work it however it is. And then I know the coach as well. So not only do I help with their training, but I also do a lot of the postgraduate webinar trainings, and I talk about emotions a lot. So of course they are also not counselors, but they fill in that role of coaching. And so it's coaching in terms of how do I make my meat stock? How do I do my ferments? What's going wrong with this thing or that thing? But it also is huge about just being there. Mama, you got this. Nope, it makes sense to hear the hard days, to hear about the DIAF symptoms that were a temper tantrum or whatever it was that can be really challenging to do, or the skin flare that's big, and to not feel alone. So coaches are good, absolutely, the protocol. They have a longer training course actually, right, than the practitioners, because they go so deep into the food, so deep into the protocol of detox, also so important. But they also are there for the everyday, which also means the talking, which is really helpful for our patients too. Yeah.
Jennifer, I wanted to let you know this is GAPS Tech. I'm off camera, everybody, but Camilla has joined us. So I wanted to let you know that, just so you know she's in the queue.
Awesome. Thank you so much, GAPS Tech, Caroline. Well, thank you so much, Amy, for joining us and for constantly just sharing your passion and your wisdom with GAPS and what you've learned in your clinical practice. And then just like I say all the time, you breathe life into this GAPS protocol. And I'm so grateful to spend each and every webinar with you when we're in the training and learn constantly from you. I have a notebook full of things. So thank you so much.
Thanks for popping on today. We love chatting with you.
Yeah, so glad to be able to talk about this. So yeah, thanks for having me for a bit.
Yeah, absolutely. Have a good day. Enjoy the sun in Colorado.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
All right.
Hi, Camilla. How are you? I don't see you, but I think Tech Caroline said you were there. Jen, do you see?
I'm here.
Oh, awesome.
Yes,
okay.
I'm here.
I can
And
just
it looks like my camera is open.
Okay.
Okay. From my there you go. From my side, I only saw Jen. Oh, it's so nice to see you. How's the weather by you today?
It's so hot.
It is?
I'm in Connecticut, so it's really, really hot here.
Oh.
Now, it looks like you guys get a different view from me than my camera does. Can you guys see me?
I can see you now. I can only see you now. So
yeah, it's good. Yeah, it's supposed to get 83 degrees here this weekend. So we're trying to find a lake or maybe even the ocean to go to kind of cool off, because 83 degrees. But you know what? And it's so silly. You want to bring it back to GAPS. I have an appreciation for the sun that I've never had in all of my life since going through GAPS. Just kind of that healing power that the sun has, and then the just being out there and getting that vitamin D, getting that detox from the sun. So I kind of welcome the sun now, which is different for me. So
it's a change of pace. Yeah, I'm in California, and it's been really cold, actually. So I am so happy for this warmth. I grew up in the East Coast, but as Californians, our blood really thins, and we just can't handle the cold anymore.
Yeah.
So Camilla, thank you so much for joining us. Everyone, Camilla is one of our lovely graduates, and I thought it would be a great idea to bring her on today to talk about her story, how she came to GAPS, what certification she has, and her passions. And I think that it's really inspiring for our audience to see what our graduates do with their certifications and how they thrive in the GAPS community. So Camilla, tell us a little bit about how you came to GAPS.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you for having me here, and hello to everybody. It's just been an amazing journey, and I feel so grateful to be part of this work and to be part of this community. So I'm an educator. I've been working with children and their families on the autism spectrum for 20 years now. And we've working with these children. So I started working with them in 2004. It became very clear that diet played a huge role. So the kids that were able to engage and learn, the kids that were calmer, the kids that were sleeping through the night, the kids that were becoming toilet trained, they were definitely kids who were eating a specific diet. And that was a diet that was with a lot of animal protein, a lot of fermented food, vegetables, no processed food, no dairy. For a lot of those kids, they weren't eating any dairy actually. So it really caught my attention very early on, to the point that me and my colleagues, we started teaching about nutrition and about diet to the families we were working with. We would recommend to them to look into the GAPS diet and the specific carbohydrate diet. And I always wanted to do this training. But back in 2005, 2006, there were no training for coaches, right? They were just training for practitioners. And I'm not in a medical field, so I couldn't do that. And then recently I found out, I mean, the coach training has been going on for 3 or 4 years, right? But I just found out this 2 years ago. And it's funny because several years ago, I had a consultation myself with Becky Plotner, who was a GAPS practitioner. And she said to me, you could be helping so many people with what you know. And I'm like, I know, I want to do that. But how can I do that? And now I'm doing it. And I love it. And it's amazing. It's really incredible to be able to do this work.
Yeah, and I love that once you graduated too, you are now currently a GAPS guide. So you have come back to help mentor our current students in that role. So you've gotten to kind of go through, see the Q&As and go through the curriculum again, and then just be that support for our students, so they get even more, because you hold GAPS chats. You and the other GAPS guides every week. So for about an hour, you will be on a live Zoom and then just answer questions that they have. So they have that connection with you. And then you also do a webinar during our training as just kind of a bonus. And so it can be anything that, complements GAPS or enhances GAPS. And so you you haven't done it yet, but I think you said that you were planning on doing how GAPS helps with, autism, because that's where you specialize. So I love that you you have all of that extra support as a student in the training. So yeah, and thank you so much for your role. And how are you enjoying that? Are you liking it?
I am liking it, and I love that contact with other coaches and with other practitioners, because I really believe, it's my belief that we need to substitute the whole medical field with GAPS practitioners and GAPS coaches, so we can substitute that model of now we're treating disease, let's prevent the disease from happening in the beginning. And I truly believe that there is a market for lots of us to be doing this work, many, many of us, and there's a need. As a mom, I'm also a mom. I have 2 daughters, 11 and 17 years old. And this relationship I have with my kids is one of the most amazing things that I have ever experienced in my life. And my relationship with my mom was incredible too. And so if I can in any way help parents be able to help their children to start with being healthy, being well, being happy, being able to learn, that is my goal in life. And the more of us that we have, the more we can help everybody around us.
That's so beautiful. And it's a good point that there's room for everyone. There's more than enough GAPS to go around for everyone to take their passions and run with it. And speaking of, once you graduated, I think it'd be great for our audience to get a feel for the creativity that our GAPS grads have. How do you think that you meshed your GAPS certification with your passion for helping parents?
Yes, I think it's a perfect match actually, because so as an educator, I help parents help their children develop language, develop the skills so that they can live an independent and happy life. But I truly find that without addressing what's happening internally, so I help parents help their children go from stress mode into healing and learning mode. But without addressing the stress that is happening inside, right, because of leaky gut, abnormal gut flora, you really can't help them. That's my belief at this point now in my journey with helping those families. So it matched like perfectly as an educator, because so the focus, I have families that I work with, we talk every week, sometimes we talk every 2 weeks. And so we focus on helping heal the gut brain first. And then once the body is able to engage and learn, then we talk about how to help those children now develop social skills and how to help them learn all the things that the parents want to help them learn. And those kids, how they want to learn those skills as well. They want to make friends. They want to be able to participate in society. They want to be able to participate with their peers. So when they are not dealing with abnormal gut flora, leaky gut, inflammation, they have so much more time and energy to engage with the world around them.
Oh, that's wonderful. One of the things that Amy mentioned within her own practice is that depending on where a person is, she may have different camps of patients and clients. And I'm sure you find that your clients are not always in the same spot and ready for, let's say, full-on GAPS, that you may introduce small pieces of GAPS, bringing GAPS just into their life. Could you touch on that a little bit of how you navigate different families being ready to bring GAPS into their life?
Absolutely, yes. So I always keep in mind that GAPS is gentle and GAPS is slow. So if I'm starting to work with a family whose child is basically eating cupcakes for every meal, which I have that. I have some families that their children, they have 2 or 3 foods they're eating, and they're eating maybe highly processed sugar food. So of course, I'm not going to start them on intro diet, right? We're going to start, okay, how can we substitute those store-made cupcakes with a GAPS version? And then we go from there. So we're not even yet starting with full GAPS. So then we go to full GAPS. And then eventually, sometimes with some families I have worked with, I wasn't yet a coach, but I would guide them and they would get Dr. Natasha's book. And I would tell them, like, it's so important that you start your child on a diet similar to this. And some of them, it took years. There is one mom, she's now doing GAPS for her son, but it really took her years to get to the point that she could even do full GAPS. So it's really about meeting the family and the parents where they're at, what they're comfortable with, what they can do in that moment, and starting with that. And also where the child is, right? Some kids, they are so constipated that you can't even start them on GAPS until they actually get in their bowel movement, right? So I get them with, start helping your child clear their pathways, and let's start with enemas. Let's start with some type of like juicing so that your child is having regular bowel movements. Then we can start with full GAPS. So that's an essential thing. And sometimes people ask me, how long would it take to do this? I'm like, well, it depends. It depends on your condition. It depends on what you're eating currently. And it depends on how much time you can invest in this, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing. I like that the training teaches you everything you need to move into teaching your clients what they need with GAPS. But I really like that you took your specific passion and you figured out how to bring that joy to families. It's such a wonderful thing. I'm sure you feel such a sense of accomplishment.
And I actually want to add, the training provided me even more than I thought I would get from it. Because,
oh, really? That's great.
Yes. And from the very beginning, in so many different ways, it's such, well, I'm going to touch on 3 of them. First, it's such a supportive community. It's a community that really wants me out there helping people. So I've been having so much support from all of you with this. The other one is the business part of it. So I had never run my own business. I used to work for an organization. And so at the end of my course, my CGC course, we had the business module, right? Where we have an amazing person. Her name is Jessica, and she helps us get our business started. And it's incredible, the value that I get from that. And I really participate in that. I go to all the
Jessica's so incredible.
Yes, it really is. So I feel like I have gotten way more than I thought I would. And I want to add one other thing. With doing the CGC course, I actually did the intro diet myself, which I had done twice before. But I thought, I don't need it. I'm in a good place. I'm pretty healthy right now. And I was really surprised when I did the intro diet again, how much I actually needed it. And my husband did it. My husband, who was never willing to try GAPS, he actually did it with me because he kept, yes. So it was amazing.
That's a great pro tip for people that are considering coming into the training, because you never know what you're going to get as you're going through it. That is so wonderful. Camilla, thank you so much for making a little cameo appearance. We are so thankful that you are a representation of GAPS and that you are just sharing good health through your community. Could you tell everybody where to find you? And then I'll also add you into, once the recording goes onto the social media sites, I'll add it into the replies. But let everyone know where they can find you.
Yes. So my website is my full name. So it's www.Camilla with one L. So CAMILA, and my last name Titone. So CAMILA TITONE, CamillaTitone.com. That's my website.
Wonderful.
I'm also on Instagram.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Did you have anything else that you wanted to add, or do you feel complete?
Yes, maybe one other thing, which is something Dr. Natasha always says, that GAPS is love. And I'm just quoting her here. GAPS is love, and any amount of love will help. So any amount of GAPS will help too. So start where you are and help people start where they are, and just give them a little bit at a time.
That's beautiful. I love that.
That's such wonderful advice. Thank you, Camilla. Have a beautiful day. We love seeing your smiling face, and thank you for providing so much wonderful information for our audience to see.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
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 Oh, Jen, she's so wonderful, isn't she?
She is. Yeah, she was a really amazing student, and I'm just loving seeing her blossom and really own her kind of niche in the GAPS world. So I definitely follow her on Instagram. And she, like I said, she's a GAPS guide. So she has come back and to mentor other students. And she's an amazing soul. And
she's so inspiring. I would imagine as a GAPS guide that the students are just jumping for joy, trying to figure out how they can come back and do it too.
Yeah. And I love the fact that she talked about the business module that we have. And just even to add to that, once you graduate either the CGC or CGP training, you'll be enrolled into the graduate portal. Forgot my words for a second. So once you're in the graduate portal, we have a whole module just even dedicated to even more business resources. So you have, we have 3-month free complimentary membership to Jessica Panchimul's Holistic Entrepreneur Association. And then we have a graduate business series, webinar series that Jessica did as well. And then in the CGC course, we have kind of done for you clinical clients handouts and like the client intake forms and assessment forms that you get to use as well. And just even more stuff. We hold monthly webinars for our graduates. There's a forum, there's a research repository. So there is so much more support once you graduate. You are part of the GAPS family. So we want you to stay involved and just even grow more to help more people. So
truly is packed with great information. Yeah. And here, of course, in the marketing department, Camilla is a great example of how we promote and how our grads, because what they're bringing to the community is GAPS Health. And Camilla is a great example of that. She does what we call My Gap Stories, which is where we showcase a graduate, their story, where people can find them, what specialty they're doing. She's on gaps.me, which showcases our graduates and where they're located, what their specialties are. She also provides my Gap Story videos. She is showcased in our emails, and she provides incredibly insightful information on her social media channels that we get to share with our own audience. So it's just really, really good for the people that are considering how to expand their own GAPS knowledge, to see somebody who took their love, their passion, and figured out how to create GAPS health in their own special way, because each person is going to do it differently. No one's going to do it the same. One GAPS grad might love skincare. One might love working with children. One person might want to teach how to make beet kvass weekly. One person might want to get involved with their church, with a friend group. There's a million things that you can do. And, we said this in the last live, but really the sky's the limit. So thank you, Jen, for touching on some of those things that, all of the graduates get. It's just amazing the type of support and the type of love that really is flowing through this community.
Yeah. And I love that Camilla said that GAPS is love. And that's what resonates on our team and through our graduates and our students. So we want to see you succeed, and we want to support you in any way we can. So once you become a student, or even before you become a student, just even the resources that we have available to you. And then once you become a student, and then after you graduate, our goal is to see you succeed and and just bring hope and empower people. So I think that is just the most beautiful thing that you can give somebody, is hope. So, yeah.
That's wonderful. And speaking of the trainings, we have some trainings that are coming up, right, Jen?
Yes. So let me pull up the dates here. I was prepared. So we have registration is open for the CGC and CGP training. So the practitioner training is going to start on September 13th. So that we'll have our first kickoff call then, and it runs for 12 weeks. So the end date for that course is December 9th. And then the coach course will begin on October 11th and I'll run through January 27th, and that's 15 weeks. So like I said, registration is open now. So if you were interested in kind of finding out more about what we do, or if you qualify for the CGP or the CGC training, you can email me gaps@gapstraining.com, or you can go to our website gapstraining.com. And actually, I can show you too. Let me pull that up right now.
That's perfect, because if whoever's on our live today, whoever's going to watch the recording, if you're not already subscribed to our email list, Jen can show you where to do that. And then you will get our amazing mini series that Jen and I created together, which is chock full of GAPS tips and GAPS lifestyle, little, links and that sort of thing that will help you gain a lot of insight into how to live a GAPS lifestyle, no matter where you are on your GAPS journey.
Absolutely. Shauna, can you see the GAPS training website?
I don't see it yet.
Okay, let me see. Oh, you know what? It might be asking me. There we go. Right there.
Jennifer started. I see that it's saying, that you're screen sharing. There we go.
Okay, awesome. So this is our GAPS training official website. So you can go here and see when the trainings are, so you can get a little bit more information about this. For example, the GAPS practitioner training. It tells a little bit about the requirements needed to be met before enrolling, your qualifications, when our next, a little bit about the training and when our next training is taking place. And then down all the way below, you can fill out a registration application request form. So this is a vetting form just to kind of let us know a little bit about you, what your experience is, if you're a practitioner, actively seeing clients, just kind of getting a feel of who you are. And then I will review all those on my end and get back to you as far as, if I needed a little bit more information about your qualifications, or if hey, we would love to have you in class and send you an enrollment packet. So you can go here and learn a little bit about the GAPS practitioner training, the GAPS coach training as well. And the same thing here, it will say when our next enrollment is, when it closes and begins, a little bit about the training itself. And then you can go ahead down here and fill out a request form to receive an enrollment packet.
And Jen, at the very bottom should be where people can sign up for email, right?
Yes, right here.
On our mailing list. So if you're not subscribed already, go ahead and join the mailing list and you will be sure to get the mini-series.
Definitely. And that, we've had really great feedback on that mini-series, and it was a labor of love, and we loved every second of creating it. We had some
100%. That was so much fun creating all of that information for the GAPS community with you.
Absolutely. And we do have international trainings now, headed up by Marcy. So she is leading our international GAPS instruction teams in Italy and France. And we have more, in the works on the way. So stay tuned for that. And then we have a ever-growing.
We have Turkish. Don't forget Turkish.
Yes, Turkish course as well. So
Caroline Tech, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Pay attention.
And then we have, like I said, an ever-growing do-it-yourself course catalog. So these are, if you don't necessarily want to get certified, but you were just looking to kind of help yourself or help your family member or a friend through GAPS, we have a couple of different courses that you can do. Getting started on GAPS. This is taught by Amy Mahali, who was our guest this afternoon. And then the Baby GAPS course is taught by Holly Bigham, which works with Amy as well. If you have a fussy eater, and then just like, I will never get my kid to eat these GAPS foods. All they want is chips and ice cream. You can enroll in Linda Patterson's course for fussy eating, mealtime management. She's also one of our instructors, and she successfully led her son, Riley, who was nonverbal autistic, through the GAPS protocol. And now he is a teenager. Well, actually, yeah, he's still a teenager, but he is graduated high school and on to college. We have the Enema Masterclass, and this is for, anybody who's apprehensive about enemas or want to learn a little bit more about it. It's also a great resource if you are a practitioner and are recommending an enema to a client for, the client to take as well, to learn a little bit more about enemas. Just kind of get that, get more comfortable with it, learn a little bit more about the history of enemas and how to successfully, administer one. We have No Plant GAPS course, which is, just recent, and that's the spectrum of the GAPS protocol that we talk about. So that is led by Monica Holland, and so is this. She is a CGC grad. The Meat Stock Masterclass is by our very own Chef Monica. So everything you ever needed to know about meat stock, casseroles, stews, how to use meat stock. You're like, I don't want to eat soup all day. She shows you all these beautiful different ways of utilizing meat stock in your life, so you make sure that you get that, that gut healing elixir. And then the electropollution fix course is by Brian Hoyer and Nicholas. And do you know how to say his last name? I
don't, and I don't want to say it wrong.
I believe it's Pinault.
Pinault, okay. So EMFs are an ever-growing, problem in our world, and so this class will teach you how to identify EMFs and how to kind of mitigate their effects and what that kind of looks like. Foundations of Farming and Homesteading course is by Joel Salatin. So if you know about him and his regenerative biodynamic farm in Virginia, Polyface Farms. He goes through kind of how to set up your own farming and homestead. And then coming soon is our GAPS Certified Cooking Educator training, and that will be led by Chef Monica as well. So everything you needed to learn about GAPS foods and GAPS cooking techniques you will find in this course, and this is coming soon. And then you can find our news and events here. Here's our blog. And then every month we hold live info webinars. So this month will be Wednesday, May 22nd. We will hold a live info webinar where we'll go into detail about all the trainings that we have talked about here, and then a little bit about the qualifications and a little bit more about who we are, and take questions at the end. So if you have any lingering questions after this open house, you can go ahead and go to gapstraining.com and register for this webinar. It's always informative. And if for some reason you can't make the live webinar, we send a recording 24 hours after the event, so you can watch it at your convenience. Yeah.
So Jen, this month we are still having our contest for the info webinar. So if you do sign up for the info webinar and you stay for the entire info webinar, you automatically get put onto a list where you have an opportunity to win a replay ticket from OnCon 2024, which is our annual online conference. And we will be it will be a spin the wheel pick. So we're not going to pick someone specifically. It's gonna be a random pick, but stay the whole time and you might win.
Yes. My son gets really excited because we have dubbed him the GAPS prize coordinator. And so he proudly wears that badge. And so he spins the wheel when we get the list of people. So
that way it's 100% fair, and
yes.
Just a random person wins, but we always want to give a little bit back to the GAPS community.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And then even, we talked a little bit about, we talked today about the CGP training and the CGC training. We do have a GAPS Science Foundation that I wanted to touch on real quick, and I will share my screen again. Let's see, GAPS Science Foundation.
And we have a brand new study that I will be adding to the website today. It's not there yet, but I'll be adding it today.
Okay,
it's on our socials though. I did put it up about days ago now. So that is so exciting.
Yeah. So this is where, once you go through the CGP or even the CGC training, mostly like for CGPs, you can participate in the GAPS Science Foundation and participate in the case studies to help kind of bring, what we already know that science-based, just having that study around it to bring it more mainstream and say, hey, this works. And we have, here's the proof that it works. And so, you can participate that way as well once you graduate. And, if you have a specific condition you're looking at that you wanted to provide a case study for, or you wanted to join one of the case studies that is in progress, you can do that here as well. And then even come back and see what kind of studies we've already completed. So it's really exciting that we're that we're doing this, and Dr. Natasha is leading it.
Yes, and we have a donate button if you want to scroll down a little bit more.
Absolutely.
Jen, there's a nice donate button right there, and it'll take you to a page where you can either donate by text, or donate through our official donation page on Mighty Cause, as well as reach out and get in touch with us on the contact page. So GAPS Science Foundation, we're thinking about running a GAPS-a-thon. That's something that we're working on right now, and to help us raise some funds for this nonprofit venture we've gone into with GAPS Science Foundation. So if you can donate $1, anything, we would love for you to be a part of what we do and to bring GAPS onto a scientific basis, because we know it works anecdotally. We know we have thousands and thousands of people around the world who have healed from GAPS. That was the inspiration to write the GAPS Stories book, which is available, of course, for purchase at chelseagreen.com. And you can find out more about our books at gaps.me as well. But so many people have healed from gaps, and now it's time to show the medical community the true science behind all of that, how we did it, and who recovered from multiplicity of conditions, and just how Gap Science Foundation can document all this data, put it and wrap it with a scientific bow around it. And the journals that are publishing our work are very renowned journals. And we have people sharing those journal entries with other practitioners and doctors around the world. So little by little, we are chipping away at the allopathic community and integrating gaps into the medical field. It's really exciting.
And it's so valuable because, like you said, anecdotally, we know that GAPS works, but for a lot of people who are bringing GAPS into their practice, into their field, into their community, into their families, sometimes you have the people that want to see the science behind. They want to see something that's grounded in scientific study. And it's amazing that we have that. GAPS is being grounded in scientific data, into study, and you can show those people why it works and how it works even more than anecdotally. And, even though we know it works, sometimes people need that little bit of an extra push and extra proof.
Yes.
Absolutely. Yeah. I don't know if we had any questions that in the chats.
No, nothing came in. Oh, I've been sort of handling that, but nothing that you would need to cover. We're all good. I put Camilla's website in there as well.
Thank you. That's perfect. So before we hop off, Jen, did you want to do a quick sneak peek of the student training portal, or should we do that for next time?
We can just do a really quick sneak peek.
Just like a minute or two, just to show everyone what student life is all about.
I know. I think this one, yes.
I think that's one of the most exciting things for our audience to see. What's happening behind the scenes?
So we will look at our CGP training portal. So once you become a student and the course starts, you will be enrolled in our GAPS training portal. And this will be your classroom for the next 12 weeks for CGP and 15 weeks for CGC. So this is really user-friendly, easy to use. I've used a couple of LMSs, and this is by far my favorite. So this is your dashboard, your home page. You can get to everything from here. You have a little envelope that you can send messages, kind of like emails, your notification bell that tells you when, if your assignment's been graded or if you have an upcoming assignment. You have a course calendar, which is just populated with all of the class events, start and due dates for your coursework as well. And we have a lot of things going on in the course. And we can go back and you can get to the modules right here. So your coursework. And then here's the modules for the CGP training. We have a welcome module to get you kind of set up and familiar in the system. And then we go through the GAPS protocol, practical issues. We touch on health, heart health and vegetarianism, which is a pretty heated debated topic right now. And then this is the running a private practice clinic as well with the GAPS protocol. And the CGC looks pretty similar. So we'll go here, and this is the current class. So you have your home page, you have all your icons up here to kind of, send messages and notifications. You can get to your class calendar, and then this is what their modules look like. So you will have 12 modules in 15 weeks. And this is that business course that Camilla was talking about. So you'll have a lot of different business resources in here that you can pull from and learn. And then in both of the trainings, you'll also have a forum. So this is where we have, I put class information for upcoming assignments. You can ask any questions about the course admin. We added resources here, and this is an ever-growing list to help, just enhance your GAPS training. You can ask the instructor questions and the GAPS guides during the training at any time. We record all of the live events, so you can find those right here. You can have discussions with your fellow students and then post your student introduction so you get to know everyone in your class. So that's, I'm also, like, I know my title says admissions. I'm also the student experience coordinator. And I love what I do. I love to see, students just kind of come in unsure or even inspired, but then they leave and all of these light bulbs just went off in their, in their brain, and they make connections and they're so confident and empowered for their skill set and what they do. And they're just motivated to go out there and make changes in the world and in people's health. So it's a beautiful thing to see and witness.
Thanks for the sneak peek, Jen.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's so exciting for people to get to see what happens when they're a student, even before they sign up. So I really appreciate you showing everyone.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's a good system, and it's easy to learn. And we have a whole welcome series of 4 videos that kind of explain course structure and course expectations, how to navigate the system. So we really try and set you up for success. So that when you're ready to start your studies, you're just full blown into your studies. You're not worried about, how do I do this? How do I do that? So we help prepare you for going through the training.
Oh, those are great tips.
Yeah.
And then let's see. So on my end, if anyone wants to connect with me, my email is Shauna, SHAUNA @gapstraining.com. If you have any questions about marketing, if you have any questions about our social media channels, about our newsletter, if you're curious how we showcase our graduates, feel free to connect with me at any time.
Awesome. This has been amazing, Shauna, actually. It's just been such a great open house. And thank you so much for being my co-host. And
you too. It's been so fun.
Awesome.
It's so nice just getting to hang out and talk about GAPS. And I want to also give a little round of applause to Tech Caroline.
Mm-hmm.
She's in the background helping us, so we don't have to worry about all the little things as we're trying to communicate with the GAPS community. So thank you, Caroline, too.
Yes, thanks.
Happy to help. And I just want to mention too that Jennifer, you showed the learning management system, the training portal for GAPS, and the graduate portal looks very similar. You log in kind of the same way. It's got that same feel. It's a bit of a different look now. They have a new design, and I think they're bringing that into the training portal soon. But the graduate portal's just very similar, easy to navigate, and they do get that first year free after they graduate. And then after that, it's just $99. So you see one client or patient in, a year, and you can cover your costs, but there's so much to gain in the graduate portal, as Shauna and you had shared before, but it's got that same kind of look as the training portal. So it's a seamless integration from student to graduate.
Absolutely.
Yeah, all the platforms are very user-friendly, very easy to navigate around, and you have tons of support. So it's wonderful going from training portal to graduate portal.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, I don't think there was anything else. Did we miss anything, Jen? Or are we good for today?
I think we're good for today. Definitely, we will be planning more open houses. If you have anything that you want to kind of see or learn from these open houses, feel free to leave a comment, and we will try and schedule those as well. We are thinking about holding a GAPS-a-thon, so anything that you want to see there as far as content, GAPS content, any questions that you have or anything you wanted to see kind of demonstrated about the GAPS protocol, feel free to leave a comment in the social media as well. Social media, I sound my age. Leave the comments in the chat section or in the comment section of the.
That's good enough. People will get it.
So, all right. Well,
Thanks,
thank you
Jen.
so much, for you guys for sharing your time with us. We hope that you are just even more excited about the GAPS protocol, whether you are implementing it for yourself or you're looking into one of our trainings. We have tons of resources either way. So feel never, hesitate to reach out to us. We are always here for you, whether like I said, you're interested in our training, or you just need some more kind of guidance and help, we guide you to our business listings for our CGPs and CGCs, so you can kind of find a GAPS coach or practitioner. We have tons of kind of free resources to send your way to help you on your protocol journey. And then for people that are looking at one of our trainings, we hope to enroll you soon. And if you have any questions, like I said, feel free to email me at gaps@gapstraining.com, and I will be happy to connect with you. Okay.
Thanks. Bye, everyone. Have a beautiful day.
Yes, bye.